back, everybody. This is a podcast that is White Noise with Rick, Eric, and Zach. And we got some non-political topics that we wanted to kind of talk about, to kind of maybe give everybody a breather on the heaviness that is politics today. So let's get to it. We're going to first talk about you boys returning back to the office after being remote for over a year and a half. That's going to take some adjusting. And then we'll move into some influencers that pride themselves on being productive early in the morning and all that fun stuff that goes along with it. And then our final question, the one that you can think about during the time that we're talking about the other topics, is: do smart people owe it to society to kind of, hold intelligent roles and things like that? So you think about that. We'll get to it. We're going to have a heck of an episode here, huh, fellas?
Dude, we're gonna bang ass. I don't know if we are the three people that are qualified to speak on what it means to be intelligent. But you know what? We're gonna give it the old college try. College being the thing that Charlie Kirk dropped out of because he's not intelligent. Just
There we go.
for reference.
Yeah.
I'm excited to not do politics though. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little excited to not do politics for a minute. So this one should be fun.
Yeah, me too. But all right, here we go. And the roller coaster is clicking up and everybody's fastened, and here we go. So,
Whee!
Like I said at the beginning, I'm getting called back into the office, into global headquarters, where I get to see everybody that makes 4 times as much as me, and they don't know what an HDMI cord is. So it's fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of people are. But I just wanted to talk about it real quick because it seems like that might be, a fast-paced trend that's taking place now and probably before the fall. At least that's when mine takes place. I have to go back in September. So right now, like I said, currently full-time remote. No days in the office are required. But come September 1st, I will have to go in for 4 days a week. So what that looks like is that 5th day is I can pick whatever day I want to work from home. And I have yet to decide whether it's going to be Monday, Friday, or maybe Wednesday to split up the weeks. But I know, Zach, you and I were talking before the show, and it seems like that some people that are getting called in. I know some other companies too, that's kind of the way they go. And I think the biggest logic of it, or the biggest they frame it like, hey, we want everybody back in for collaboration and things like that. But ultimately, it's a bottom dollar type thing. And I think that is the fact that they own that real estate and it's not being used to, what it could be. And they're kind of just putting money there, and they're also paying people to work remote. So I think that's the biggest logic here, because where I work, it's a giant campus. And right now, it was announced in January that executive level folks needed to come in some days a week. There was never a set number, and it was just highly encouraged, and it wasn't really required. But now it's like no holds barred, everybody's in, no exceptions. And they actually said that if you are working remote in a different state, because that was the pretense that you were hired under, is like, hey, we're going to be hiring remote. So now people live in like North Carolina, Wisconsin, and things like that. We're in Minnesota, and it said in the frequently asked questions that they will have limited opportunities for career advancement based on their remote position. So that was just something that they put out right away. And so I'm just interested. I know that we're going away from it too. Like the jobs right now that were remote currently, people left. Now there's like, you have to live in Minnesota to work it. And I think we're losing a lot of talent that way. We're losing a lot of candidates that would, optimize the role, I think. Just curious to get your guys' initial thoughts, I guess, on that.
Yeah, dude. So the people I know, specifically one friend I know, they were 3 days on, 2 days remote, I think, or 3 days in, 2 days remote, and they got an extra day added in. And that made them angry. Understandably so. It's frustrating to do that. And I know that a lot of the trend back towards being in person is kind of companies trying to take that back from COVID, right? Like, so during the pandemic, a lot of jobs, they figured out ways to do them remote and then just kind of left it that way. Or maybe they went to like a lighter hybrid kind of mode after the pandemic. But it seems they're trying to slowly yank everyone back in. My one buddy, their their job was a situation where it wasn't even like, this was a pre-COVID thing. Like, this was from when they were hired, whatever, like 10 years ago or something, right? Forever and ever ago. And the company just kind of went like, oh, sorry, we just need you in here. But I think it is, the point you made where they're paying for the real estate, they have the office space, and it's not being used, right? It's sitting there empty and they have to justify it because they can't really let it go because maybe some people do have to come in and work there for whatever reason. They have all these empty offices, all these different things. I had another friend who the work they do primarily affects a plant down in Louisiana, but they make them come into an office here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, well, that's dumb because regardless, you're basically working remote no matter where you are right now because you live in Minnesota and they're not making you move down to Louisiana. So, um, yeah, it's wild and I think it's stupid and I think it's only again as like it's either a control thing or a money thing, right? I don't really see any other thing because yeah, sure, there's some collaboration, there's some whatever, but I don't think there's any denying that we found ways through the technology. There's, like technology in general is at a place where we're more productive than we've ever been in human history. So it's not a productivity thing, especially in the cases where people were hired on and have been doing this for years and years and years. It can't be a productivity issue, And I also just think it's real shitty, I think, for in your example, to hire people on, have them be remote. They're working in other states. So they now cannot, they can't move to Minnesota necessarily. They can't do the situation where you're in now, and they're just saying like, "Hey, you're stuck there now in that job position. You can't move up. You're not going to advance your career." When they were hired, they probably could have advanced their career, and they may have been hopeful for that. So that's really shitty to kind of pull that rug from under them. So, yeah, dude, I just really don't think it's right unless a company has a really good reason to pull people back in for more days per week, especially in jobs that have been remote for since pre-COVID.
Yeah, like I think you guys hit the nail on the head. It's two things. It's the real estate and the managers were having a harder time justifying their job. How else can a manager take credit for your idea if they can't be looking over your shoulder the whole time, making sure that your project's quote unquote being all the deadlines being met? And then they can go to a meeting and say, "Oh, this is what I thought of. This was my idea," and then you're thrown under the bus. It's all shit like that. It's all the upper management trying to justify their bullshit jobs and justify the real estate. We could be housing homeless people with this real estate, but instead we need to force people to come back here and effectively hamstring ourselves and our productivity because some people don't function well in cubicles. Maybe they have their best ideas sitting in their home office, but that doesn't matter. It really doesn't fucking matter to them. It's not about collaboration, all this fucking synergy bullshit fucking words that they use. That's not why they're doing this. It's never that.
Office culture that they're talking about is sitting in a cubicle, going to a coffee pot or a water station, whatever, and then listening to like Brad from accounting talk about like the 23-year-old he cheated on his wife with like over the weekend. Like that's the office culture they're talking. And like, look, I get it. Some offices probably have good culture, whatever. And that's great. If those people are your friend, if you want to see them, I get that some people kind of prefer being in person. I myself like trying to get into the industry I want to get into, into engineering. I would love to be in an office next to an experienced person for a while. You know what I mean? Like, so that I understand even I will give them that there can be value in that in-person interaction, but that does not take away from the fact that like this is definitely just a thing to justify other stuff because if they wanted if it was about collaboration, if it was about all these other things, they wouldn't just say, well, no, you have to come sit in the office, right? They would do other things to encourage that collaboration. And I've heard there's some business dickhead who wrote books who talks about like, well, some of the, we got to be in person because a lot of good ideas come from like two dudes passing each other in the bathroom. Like that's the actual example that's given in a book. And I'm like, listen, if I'm taking a piss in the bathroom and you want to talk to me about work, I'm going to rotate 90 degrees towards you. And that's what's going to happen. Like, I'm done. Do not. Like, I'm not going to just like, especially because, dude, I tell you what, all these old heads, they don't wash their fucking hands. So don't shake them ever because it's always old dudes that I see not washing their fucking hands on the way out. But like, that's not it's not real life. I mean, there's all these people, and we could get into them later too, like that think you need to be sitting down, working all these hours a day. And I think it's also like feeds into, this administration's thing. We're like, oh, we're not working enough hours. We're not, nobody wants to work anymore. Acting as if like sitting 16 hours in a cubicle, like staring at an Excel spreadsheet is going to like make this huge difference for humanity. It's like, dude, we could all be sitting outside fucking eating berries and like fucking each other and telling stories, but instead we invented Microsoft Teams, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that like it's just a thing to me where remote work and kind of the growth of remote work was a way for like the working class people, us, our level kind of, to take some of our life back. You know what I mean? You throw in a load of laundry during the day, maybe instead of having an hour commute to work, you can roll out of bed, have a cup of coffee in the morning with your wife or, shit like that. It's a way to take our life back a little bit. And now these people are like, no, absolutely not. We can't have them living a free life. That's just what it feels like to me. And I haven't heard a good justification for this. You know, like I haven't experienced personally. So kind of through, Eric, through you or through any of my friends, none of them have said, oh, but the executive team who delivered this message, they said this and it really makes sense. Again, these are the efforts they're taking. I've not heard any of that. I've just heard, hey, come back to the office or we're going to stuff you in a fucking cannon and just shoot you into the ocean,
Yeah, no, 100%, or at least that's definitely the mindset. I just like just you going through those examples too, about like taking your life back and things like that. Like, yeah, are there nuances to working from home and the understanding that sometimes you're not going to be as busy as you would be maybe in an office setting, but then you gotta. I ask the question, okay, if I'm in an office, I'm like I need to look busy. Like I might not even be working on anything. There's this idea that like I just need to almost distract myself and to make sure that when the people are looking that are important that are looking at you, you need to let them think that you are actually working on something. And that's just bullshit too. So I'd rather get my work that I need to get done. There's been no issues, personally, obviously. And but like everybody I know that works remote, they just tend to get their things done in a more timely fashion. And then they have time for other things that are personal, like you said, throwing a little laundry and maybe cleaning up the house a little bit, cooking dinner, getting started earlier. There's no commute time. And then personally for me too, I have it'll be an hour commute with no traffic in the morning. And then it'll be about an hour and a half to 2 hours on the way home. And, that's a 3 hour just commute time strictly in the car. And it's not like I'm like traveling. I'm not going fast on the way home. I'm sitting in end-to-end traffic and just sitting there literally thinking about killing myself, because that's the best thought that crosses your mind when you're sitting there. And then there's construction. We're in Minnesota, so every 94 for some reason is fucking under construction all the time forever. And going to St. Paul every day is just going to be atrocious. One more thing that I did want to talk about that you brought up earlier, Zach, was the idea that you're going to be like in my job. I am a national human resources person that deals with time and absence for a bunch of locations across the United States. And so like you said, when you go to the office, you're still technically working remote from the office to assist all those other locations. So literally the office I'm going to, I have nothing to do there. I'm just going to be basically what I'm going to be doing at my house is exactly what I'm going to be doing in St. Paul. There's no reason for it. I'm going to be on Microsoft Teams, calling people, having that stupid fucking headset, and just having these conversations with HR professionals about their issues for that day. So
I'd make that point to them when you're in the office. Be like, hey, look, I'm doing the same exact thing I could be doing at my house, but you made me drive an hour to do it. Are you going to be paying for my flights to go to every one of these plants? So, because obviously I need to be there in person too, right? Otherwise, this is just really stupid and not well thought out, isn't it?
Right. And then to that, I would be fired for insubordination. Or
you're not being insubordinate. You're just calling out. You're just pointing out the stupidity of it. That's not being insubordinate. You're still doing it. You're just not happy about it.
Right.
Obviously, you wouldn't say it's bullshit and you'd fucking pretty it up a little bit, but I'm just saying you could make that point to them. Be like, hey, look, I could be doing this. Like, I literally do this at my house, and there is literally no difference between there and here doing this because I have to manage a national group of plants.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. I think that those conversations were already had, and I think those conversations were actually had by like my manager and people like that. I mean, before my current manager, my previous one was actually from New Jersey, and he lived in New Jersey. So like, what do we do in that situation? It almost seems like they saw this coming down the line, and he was eliminated. Like for really, he was barely there for 6 months, and all of a sudden he's gone. And you kind of got to ask, okay. And then they hired somebody in-house that has like no experience, and they actually turned down an applicant. Now that I'm thinking about this and talking about it aloud, they turned down a more qualified applicant that's already on the team that has the experience of a manager and for like 20 years. And they denied her application because they said it was a reach for her. And then they hired somebody with less experience and less whatever, in our specific area.
I'm really happy that people are holding these dipshits making these decisions to the same accountability that they're holding all of us to. Right, all the worker bees have to. They're held to a certain set of standards, but the people making dumber choices because it aligns with their idea they pulled out of their ass that doesn't make sense. They can't justify it. They have no way to back up this. This is like the headcount decision that they made where I work, where they had to do the 3-to-1, three support or 3 production people per 1 support person. Where'd you get that number? Oh, it sounded good. No idea. Can't back it up. No research or anything that it would even fucking work. But they made that decision, and it didn't work. It might work in a certain smaller setup, but not here.
The quantity at the place that you work at is too much, and it wasn't thought of. So it was a hard parameter to fall in.
I want to say,
like, when I want to be clear, like, first, when I've bitched on this podcast before, and I will again, making fun of people who do coloring books and get a fucking MBA. Those are the people I'm talking about. I know people get business degrees and maybe they do cool shit. Those are the people I'm talking about, that they do their coloring books, they get their MBA, and they walk into an office meeting with a tie and they go, you know what I think? And then they just say stuff with numbers, and people sit there and go, yeah, spectacular. Let's go out for whiskey and cigars later, and then tomorrow morning you can implement it. And again, there's no like, well, where did you think of that? Well, I read it in Alex Hormozy's blog. Okay, fine. Okay.
You get $1 million and you get $1 million.
It came to me in a vision. Like, all right, dude. Okay. So those are the people. I want to be very clear that those are the people I fucking hate.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I did want to add too, Zach, I reject the premise that any corporate culture can be good. And for evidence, I submit LinkedIn.
Dude,
it's
LinkedIn
one big fucking lie. Everyone's lying on there. Nobody actually gives a shit. They're just kissing ass and circle jerking. That's all they fucking do.
Dude, it's off. Well, here's the thing. There's office politics, right? There's office politics, and I think there are. All right. Anyway, Alex Jones' impression is over. But I think corporations on a whole maybe can't have it, right? Like maybe the company as a whole doesn't necessarily have, because I've worked at those places that they say we're a family, right? All that shit, like we're a family, we will take care of you, blah blah. And there are companies that do a better or worse job than that. But and this kind of goes to, I can't remember which one of you at this point now. Maybe we've all said it here, where part of it is management can't manage unless they're watching over your shoulder. I think Eric said it, like he's got to look busy, right? Which is a whole thing, whatever. And we don't have to get into that, but it is a leadership thing. So like, I truly believe that depending on how your leadership is, maybe the company you work for as a whole, you're like, God damn it, they're like just throwing garbage on top of you, and you're like drinking garbage juice and gargling their piss. But if you have a good manager or a good leader, like someone who's truly a leader, not someone who like reads a fucking blog and jerks himself off and tries to act someone who truly is truly a leader, right? Who pulls the fucking sled with you and is in the shit with you, there can be a good culture on your team. And so the thing now that, like, Eric's going to run into, and anyone else who's doing this is going to run into, is, okay, whether your manager agrees or disagrees, what's the difference in their management style when you're there in person? And what are they going to try and do for you? Eric, you got a huge commute now. So here's the thing, you have to factor that into whether or not every single day you want to work for this company anymore or in this role. So how is your leader of the team that you are on going to handle that and going to handle your concerns? Because going, sorry, there's just no, that's not acceptable. That's not a fucking leader, right? Maybe they can't give you some allowance to be like, oh, well, you can work from home, but maybe they can't do that, right? There's probably no power. Their hands are probably tied behind their back and they've been kicked in the crotch, right? There's nothing. There's no amount of bitching that'll do it. But how are they going to handle trying to keep you as happy as possible? You know what I mean? Understanding that, hey, Eric's going to come in fucking crabby most days because this drive sucks balls on the way in and it's going to suck balls on the way out. And in between, he's got 8 hours of staring at a fucking cubicle wall until that gray gets fucking old, man. Like it's just, they couldn't color it anything better. They found the worst gray imaginable. And they were like, yeah, let's make billions of these in this color, like this. I didn't even know nature could make this shit. So I think it can be done. It really can be done on sort of a smaller level, maybe not a macro level. Because again, you get high up enough, a lot of these C-suite dickheads are just C-suite dickheads, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that's what makes a good manager and a bad manager. It really is. And unfortunately, there are more bad ones than good ones because a lot of them trip over their own dick and stumble up, and all of a sudden they're a manager, and then they try to like helicopter their dick at you to show it off because they think it's really cool, and you're like, damn, that thing sucks and it stinks. but they keep swinging it though, and that's the work culture, is stinky dick cheese, I guess.
Yeah,
a little bit of a rough landing.
First,
I hope you understand the metaphor I just tried to finish off with. not my most graceful landing. Whatever is what it is.
Yeah. So I wanted to say one more thing. This sort of demonstrates that the 40-hour work week kind of shouldn't be a thing anymore. Because if you have to pretend to be working, what does that do? I got to be careful here because, I don't want people to lose their jobs or whatever. But at the same time, if you can get all of your shit done, like that's the expectation, right? Like I think we're missing the forest for the trees here. If you can get, you shouldn't be punished because you're efficient and you can get your shit done faster than in the 8 hours that they allot for you. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be paid less because you're better at your job. That's where I think some nuance could be like some considerations could be made for jobs like that. I know that doesn't apply to like a production worker or whatever. They produce until they're clocking out. But for certain jobs like that, I think it's not as black and white as it's been made.
1,000%. I mean, it'd be a cultural shift in the U.S., but I 1,000% agree. I mean, that honestly, that'd be a good thing, I think, to talk about for like a long form, because like that's why we made machines. That's why we made computers. That's why we make software that does crazy shit. It's to make everything more efficient. But instead of shortening our amount of time that we need to work, everyone just went like, okay, well, that takes you 30 minutes instead of 2 hours now. So now you have an hour and a half. Let's fill that shit up. More. Money, right? It's the capitalistic, like, I don't think America's the only one. America's probably just one of the worst ones that like grow forever. Money, like number bigger. But no, I thought, dude, like everything points towards a shorter work week being better for workers. And it doesn't make companies suffer. But in America, we don't believe that anymore. Or we never did believe that, I should say.
Yeah. I also did want to say one thing about the sorry, Eric, do you want to say something about the 40-hour week?
You just go ahead. I lost it already.
Sorry. I just wanted, before I forgot, I wanted to say I found that certain, like 60% of employers that have under 500 employees offer full remote policies, but only 13% of employers with 50,000 or more employees offer remote jobs. So I think that that is sort of a testament to the smaller employers could liquidate their real estate holdings faster than these big corporate conglomerates can. And they're going to be left holding the bag if everyone decides that, oh, this really isn't worth what they say it is. All their assets or values are going to tank. So that's why I think there's this big push.
Well, and now who the fuck's going to buy it, right? If all those little guys sold off already, who the fuck's going to buy your giant office building that's fucking 150 stories tall? Nobody.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's where, instead of, well, everybody should just come back. I think the idea should be, what else could we do with that giant campus? What else could we do with all the facilities there? Christ, the place I'm going to is basically a college campus for a bunch of people like me. And it's not fun. Let's just say that. So it's like, they could have turned that into something maybe, productive, maybe turn it into a branch of the U of M or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, just do something else with it than just call everybody back in. I feel like that's just the lazy, easy way out. And I don't know about you guys, but the CEO was the one who's kind of been driving this decision, and he's ranked as the 8th worst CEO to have for your company based on the previous company that he was a CEO for, and because he does not value what the employees have to say or what they have to go through. He values obviously the shareholders and what the stock price is. And to his credit, the stock price has been rising. Lately, it dropped like $10 actually in a day, so that was great after the Q2 earnings call. But I just want to say that if you're not waking up every single morning and thinking about the shareholders, what are you doing with your life? You have anything else going on? I mean, on the commute, I'm thinking about ways to benefit them, to give up less benefits for me so they can have more money at the end of the day, things like that. So that's just the way America's trending, I think, especially if you're working for, any company that's worth a damn nowadays. But I did want to say too, Bill Burr, he always, I like Bill Burr. He's obviously the comedian. Everybody should be aware of him, at least who's listening to this. But he always says, and it's been ringing more and true as I grow older and become more educated on everything. But he always says the CEOs, the people running these companies, they've never wanted to pay workers what they're worth. They've never wanted to benefit workers for what they should be benefited for. You know what I mean? They don't have your best interests in mind. They never have. And that's why, labor unions became and like people that they needed to regulate it, because it was just becoming this issue of just grinding things down to the bone for an extra nickel of profit for the year. And that's just the case still. They don't care about you. They never will. Don't get tied. Don't think the company's your family, because that's just all bullshit. It's just not true.
I actually saw somebody who's interviewing a CEO from that did the Shark Tank, whatever the fuck. And, the CEO said, I enjoy firing people on Fridays.
Fuck kind of thing to say is that?
It is
like seriously, what the fuck?
It's just taking joy in punishing people for no fucking reason, and then like Eric said, they don't have your best interests at heart, Exhibit A. And this move to get people to go back to the office is incredibly short-sighted. Again, they're making worse choices based on this decision to force people to get back into the office, and their companies will suffer for it. Why isn't the shareholder concerned about that? They're turning away people that are better qualified to do their job better, to get more shit done, because they need people to get back in the office.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to add to that too, real quick, that the cost of renovation to the office building now that, I mean, I've been to certain areas of this place that's been shut down since 2020, and it looks like a fucking dystopian like office building in like every zombie movie ever. Just everything's torn up. There's pictures on the ground, trophies and shit from like 1991 for some reason, even though it was 2020 last time they were there. But like, it's going to cost $130 million to renovate all the office space to accommodate everybody that is working remote right now. And I look at that, and similar to what Rick just asked, it's like, is that worth it? Like, are we really spending all that money to make it all look the same and everybody has a matching cubicle again, because the cubicles are out of date now? Or is there something else we could have done with that allocation of resources? Is there anything else we could have done? And then, like you said, Rick, the hiring pool shrinks just it's ridiculous. You cannot recruit the same way. You cannot get people to fill these jobs with no flexibility. Not everyone lives in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and there's a 50-mile radius of commutable distance, and I'm like 42 miles away. But like I said, it takes an hour and 2 hours to get home. It's like 50 miles is still ridiculously long to commute every single day. And nobody in their right mind should be searching for a job long term, because apparently that's not what they're focused on anymore. They don't care if you're there long term. If anything, it costs them less money to have employees stay there for less amount of time. And because they don't accrue the benefits. They don't get everything, you know what I mean? Like, they're there, then they leave, they go to another company and they get that initial whatever. In a similar situation that a family member is going through, is she's at a retiring age, and her job is looking at her as a liability now, because at any moment she can retire, and then they have to pay out those benefits. They have to pay out the pension that she earned for years of service. They have to pay out the vacation that she didn't use because of, she wanted to have the company first. And now they're looking at ways to screw her over in her last year in the home stretch. And they're saying, well, you're not really documenting things the way we want you to be documenting. So that's going to be a performance tick on your eval. And then basically that's HR speak for, we're going to do this about 3 more times, then we're going to terminate you. And you're not going to be eligible for those benefits that you've earned after, 20 years of service here.
Instead, we'll take your pension and pad the CEO's pay package with it.
Yeah.
Just another fucking broken cog. Yeah.
Dude, that's that's so fucked. That's what, fuck.
That's what fucking unions are for.
Oh, dude, 1,000%. That's literally what they're for.
And if this shit keeps happening, they're begging for unions to come back faster and harder than even the first time they were here.
Dude, they should anyway.
They should anyway. Yes. We need collective bargaining, because that's the only way we can put these fuckers on account for what they're doing.
I mean, the thing too is it's another, I don't know, millennial bitching about boomers story. But the thing is all these people that are of that retirement age or are getting there, all these boomers, they're gone. They got their pensions. They're good. They fucking got their gold watch. They worked at the same company stocking grocery shelves for 50 years and retired with a house worth $1 million because they bought it for a bag of fucking beets and a handshake. But now all the people underneath them, this next that are coming in, they're retiring. They all get fucking surprised Pikachu face about it. When they sit and they jerk off their CEO, they don't call in sick. They they don't take vacations because this is everything. This company is my life, whatever. And the company turns around and goes, hey, you've been a great worker. How about instead of we give you all this, again, like a pension and all this shit as a thanks and whatever, how about fuck you? How about you just get fired, you lose everything, and now you have to go find a job as a greeter at Walmart for minimum wage, which hasn't been raised in over a decade because this country doesn't value workers. And you have to work out the rest of your days doing that. You can't retire, right? Because it's just another one of those stories where the thing is, I was raised as a kid to understand that, hey, listen, you go, you get educated, go to college, you get in a career, you work really hard. And eventually, you get your white picket fence and all that bullshit. And then when you're ready to retire, you're taken care of because either the company, the pension, Social Security, the government kind of, will help you out with those things to make you retire gracefully. And now I see people that are old, beyond working age, or have severe disabilities and shit that probably shouldn't be working, that have to go back to work because they got fucked. So it's a shitty story.
Yeah. I look at this, with the commute time and everything, and I'm going to have to be getting up earlier and losing sleep and things like that. How can I ever follow the same path of Ashton Hall and his, productivity videos that he puts out there, of everything he does before 8 o'clock in the morning? my ass, I'm losing all that. So I can't compete. I can't even compete. And like we said, Ashton Hall is just one person to bring up, but like, this is an epidemic. And by the way, that is the segue for the audience. So like we are switching topics here. But I just wanted to talk about that. Like, just working from home has allowed me to develop a morning routine that, I can go to the gym. Sometimes I skip. What do you do? But for most time in my life, I've been going in the morning, and then like it's done by 7:30 in the morning. I can get a cup of coffee with, like you said, now my fiance. Then half hour before my day starts, and I'm just sitting at the computer ready to go, and that's all going away. And so like people that are regular people that haven't had the luxury of working remote. They see these fitness influencers out there, and I feel like it is more of a demotivator than a motivator, because it's just unrealistic a lot of the times. And also his timing on those videos is just off. 5 minutes it takes him between the time he jumps from his diving board into the pool. Yeah, I don't know about that.
He's flying. Dude, it is a thing, and I think I see a lot of it, I think, because a lot of it revolves around like fitness and health and shit. And then that's just what I follow, right? So I see that. But it is like, dude, I get it. You know what? I love to wake up in the morning, sit down on my laptop, maybe have a little 10 minutes to myself, right? Like I am a dude like that finds meditation valuable and these different things. But dude, first of all, why is he wiping his face with a banana? Does anyone figure that? I still don't know. So for those of you who haven't seen it, there's a moment in the video where he peels a banana in the bathroom for some fucking reason. I go, what this? And he takes the peel. I think he eats the banana, but he takes the peel and he just like wipes it on his face. And I don't really know what that's doing for him. Not part of my skincare routine to rub my bald ass head with a fucking banana peel. I do love bananas. I eat them a lot. They're very good for you. But no, dude, it's so dumb because there's all these things where it's like, or there's Brian Johnson. Have you guys heard of Brian Johnson? He's like 50 and he's trying to not age himself.
I think so.
You know this guy?
Yeah.
So he does all this shit like to get up in the morning. I think he does like red light therapy. He's got a mask, and then he's got a different light that he shines on himself while he's like brushing his teeth and shit. And then he does, he like gets up and he does these things. He goes outside in the sun, and then he comes back inside and he lays back down and does his other thing, and he does his hyperbaric chamber, and he does this. And I'm like, dude, what? Okay. I mean, and that guy's a thing where he's trying to not age, which is why he trades blood with his son, which is just fucked up.
Dude.
He compares his overnight like hard-ons to the overnight hard-ons of his son to see if they're comparable. I don't know what
Christ.
Dude, it's fucking bonkers. But like,
is he related to the fucking Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson?
He fucking
an app for that.
Mike Johnson is buying the pictures of Brian Johnson's Johnson. Get it? Because he's a gay little lawn gnome.
Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson's Johnson. But it's so stupid to like put on these people. There are people that are fighting for their lives. They're trying to find a way to improve their life. And they just go, oh, good. What I need is a 6-hour get ready with me in the morning routine that requires me to dunk my face in ice water like 4 times.
Dude.
And also go swimming and lift weights and go for a run and wipe my face with a banana peel. None of this is getting you anywhere. If
my morning routine took me 6 fucking hours every single day to get ready, I would just kill myself.
Yeah. I think Ashton Hall's video, I think it's literally 4 hours of time that like
my
that goes
God.
across the street. Yeah, dude. I gotta get up at 3:30 in the morning to be ready by 8. Like, what are we doing?
And he works from home.
Yeah. And he has fucking servants spoon feeding him his fucking lunch.
Yeah.
Literally, dude, it's so fucking.
My God. Like, how do these people take themselves seriously? Like, how do they look in the camera with a straight fucking face, be like, this is my life. You shouldn't laugh at me. I'm a big boy.
You should do this too.
They didn't do airplanes in this video, but sometimes they do when the camera's not on. Like, how the fuck do you take yourself seriously? If you're being fed your food, you probably don't even know how to cook it. And you're sitting here being like, I'm the alpha male that there fucking is. You don't dress yourself. I bet you've paid someone to wipe your own fucking ass.
Well, dude, there's a guy that I've seen who, again, big, like alpha male. He's like a business guy influencer, I think. And I've seen him pop up where he goes that like cooking your own food is like a bullshit move, right? And he goes like, and it's funny because in this video, I can't quote it verbatim because I haven't seen it in a minute, but it's popped up for like a bunch of times. And he's like making fun of people that cook their own food because he's like, well, I got to go downstairs and I got to get in the G-Wagon, right? He's got to flex that he's got a G-Wagon, by the way, like, $250,000 car. And then I got to drive to the store and park the car and get the grocery. And he goes through the whole thing. He's like, when I can just order my food, why don't you just DoorDash all your food? Listen, bro, because DoorDashing my food is like $60 fucking dollars. And if I go to the grocery store and come back, I can make a meal for like my wife and I, and also just cooking is a skill. And these are all the same dudes that'll sit there and go, there's a male loneliness epidemic and bitch about it that like women don't like high value men. Dude, you can't cook spaghetti. You fucking can't make spaghetti. And you want to complain that you can't get laid. Please be fucking serious right now. I've been able to make spaghetti since I was like fucking 9. Like, it's just so bonkers to me. But it's a thing. It's a thing. I actually kind of realized we brought it up during our initial way too long intro section that these people are confusing motion with like production. Right?
Yeah.
Like just like in an office when you're clicking on the same like 2 cells of Excel and like just typing fuck my life and then deleting it over and over. Like that's the same thing they're doing, but that like, and again, some of the stuff they do is fine. If you want to take 10 minutes to meditate, great. If you want to have a cup of if you want to go sit in your yard and stare at the sun, whatever, be my guest if that shit helps you out. But we don't need 10 hours of bullshit. And there's so many other horrible recommendations out there, but it's the same like epidemic. They're confusing motion with productivity.
Yeah. Well, so their job is making these videos, right? They're influencers. That's so they have to come up with these more and more outlandish fucking things to do in order to justify their job. Otherwise they'll run out of ideas. If they actually had any answers to life, they'd be done already. They won't keep making more and more just completely outrageous things to do, like dunking your fucking face in frozen banana peels for 8 fucking hours a day. That's not what real people do because it's stupid and it doesn't do anything for you. They're just making shit up now. Yeah, and I do that, and at the same time, I give myself a cocaine and coffee enema. Like, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, to be
and then
fair,
I go run a mile with my shirt off
good.
and pay some asshole to hang out of a fucking SUV and videotape me the whole time. Like,
well, if he looks great though. If I looked like that, I would never wear a shirt.
Yeah,
I want to talk.
I'm a fat white
though.
dude, so
I want to talk specifically about him running outside of those vans. So he prides himself on that speed wherever he puts on that little mask and his little weighted vest or whatever, and he just hauls ass and he runs at a slant. So it's fantastic. And then you just see his, Mike Johnson in his pants bouncing around because it's very prominent. And congratulations,
he's back in a hammer.
But he just was challenged to a race by some other influencer, and he fucking tripped and he fell over himself and he lost. And they did it 3 different times to give him a better chance, and he lost all 3 times. So it's just bullshit. It's smoke and mirrors. That muscle doesn't equate to anything. He you know what I mean? It didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, dude, so he was a college running back, right? He was a college running back. Is kind of where he came from. And that's probably why he's so jacked. I mean, dude has incredible credit where it's due. He looks incredible. Yeah. But his college statistics, you can look him up, whatever. I think it's like for his whole college career, like I think it's like 2 or 3 rushes for like 9 yards.
and for reference too, if your average yard per play or whatever, it's supposed to be at least about 4 yards. So like that's a good running back is 4 yards per play, because ultimately if you were to do it 3 times, you get a first down. So that's the idea behind it. So like he's less than that. So 2 to 3 rushes for 9 yards. That's what,
Yeah, it's something like that.
3 yards a fucking carry.
Well, it
Did
might
he
even be
trip?
less. We'll have to find it. Someone look it up quick. He probably tripped, and that's why he never ran it. It was like on that last rush they gave him. They called him a play. They called a play like, "All right, Ashton, up the middle, like you're gonna run this thing right down their throat." And he goes like, "All right, coach." He fucking grabs the ball, and just eats it.
No, he runs
Takes
out onto
his
the
shirt
field.
off.
He runs out onto the field, wiping down his face with a banana, throws it on the ground, and trips on it.
So
Fucking Mario Kart ass.
I got the stats right here from Alcorn State University Athletics. It is in 2015, in 3 games, he carried the ball 6 times for a total of 8 rushing yards with a per carry average of 1.3 yards. So
Okay, so it was worse than I thought.
that's not good. He
He got more opportunities, but man, he did not capitalize on that shit at all.
1.3 yards per carry.
And if you want 1.3 yards per carry, you should also dunk your face in ice water for 5 hours every morning.
Yeah. If
Then you can be as good as Ashton Hall.
If you wipe your face with a banana peel, you could also run 1.3 yards per carry at like a Division III school that nobody's ever heard of, and then probably become like a fucking used car salesman.
Everybody needs to listen to what this guy says to do every morning. Obviously, he has all the answers.
Well, dude, also, speaking of used car, you guys know Andy Elliott, right? Have you seen Andy Elliott?
Maybe.
He's this bald dude. He's always screaming about like how nobody can fuck his wife better than he can or some shit. He can't. He got in some hot He got some hot water for like show it. So he has 2 daughters, and this was fucked up actually. He goes and he does speaking engagements and shit. He goes up on stage and he said, "Oh, I told my daughters if they got a 6-pack that we could go take them shopping and all this shit." Definitely give me an eating disorder at like they're like 10, 11, 12 years old. And he brings them on stage and says, "Okay, girls, show everyone your abs." And he has them they're wearing like little jackets. They unzip their jacket. Of course, they're wearing like a top to cover like their chest, but they fucking show like an entire crowd their abs. They're like 12-year-old girls. It was so fucked up. But this dude's whole thing is like, I would never hire a guy without a 6-pack because that means they're not dedicated and this. And it's like the same thing where it's like, these expectations of people is like work 16 hours a day, get ready for 8, be with your family for 3 hours a day, read a book every day. Cause there's a guy that used to fucking say he did that. Like, dude, 24, like, do they forget what 24 hours feels like? And again, a lot of these people also are just not real people. So they're saying like insane shit because they need the engagement. Alex Hormozy is another good example. He went from a normal guy to saying literally like, well, slaves worked all day, every day for their whole life. Why can't I? I'm like, well, that's the dumbest fucking shit anyone's ever said. You fucking doorknob.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Some shit went to his head. Like some success went to his head, and then he started doing gear. So now I think he's a fucking idiot. But
so hang on. Could you imagine going to a job interview and they're asking you to see your fucking abs? Like, hey, pull your shirt up for me.
yeah. Pop that off, big fella.
Yeah. What is happening?
I'm just gonna start walking in, like I'm just gonna walk into, I mean, I joked about this in my last interview that I'd walk in there, sit down, and go, yeah, and just be like, oh, this is my bench press. Like, I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? Oh, can you do this job? Do you have computer skills? Experience with XYZ software? No, but I have a 6-pack. Look.
Yeah.
You're hired. That's fantastic. Yeah. You're hired. You fucking can't hit 2 rocks together without you can't fucking read, but good thing you have a 6-pack. Jesus fucking Martha. It's bonkers to me, dude. It's insane.
So that I think so there's an epidemic here, right? And I think this kind of dovetails perfectly into the question that was posed at the beginning of the podcast. With all these dipshits running around and fucking influencing everybody, do we need more smart people in the limelight and also, like genuinely intelligent people? Is it owed to society if you're that smart to help a brother out?
So
help a brother is the brother society. Is that?
Yes.
Here's the fundamental problem that is currently being caused by our society is stupid people are full of confidence and smart people are full of doubt. Like the Dunning-Kruger effect is in full force here in the US of A. And it also like real intellectuals are are pariahs. They're looked down upon by the stupid masses. You know, like
Yes.
experts are reviled in this country.
Well, you read books, gay.
Yeah, and so that, like, I don't know how the onus is on intelligent people when they're just being berated left, right, and center. Like, this is your fault. It's like, what? They hate me.
Yeah. What do you want?
So
Dude,
do I.
Yeah. Dude, it's a thing. Like, I find this philosophical thing to be like an interesting idea because if we want to make society better, we need the smart people to do smart people shit. We need them to do the research to cure you, right? We need doctors to do doctor. You got to be smart to be, to be a fucking doctor to some degree, or a nurse or a surgeon or all this other stuff. But it's like, how much, I think almost it comes down to like, how much do you owe the people around you? But I think, I mean, yeah, you gotta step around. I'm not trying to force anyone to do stuff like just for reference, but I am saying this is such a hard thing to fucking walk the line on without getting screamed at. Our fan is going to be pissed. I, I think that if we want a proper society, if we want like a proper real society, that like function is and is good for all people, as good as we can make it and all that stuff. If you are smart objectively, like you read books and maybe science and you can pronounce the hard dinosaur names, I think that you should get a job doing smart people shit. Now, if you want to be a janitor, I'm not going to say don't do it, but I am going to say maybe could you be a janitor that also tells people about the hard to pronounce dinosaur names? You know what I mean? Like, I just it's a thing where like I don't want to like, because I've never liked the idea of being like, oh, like, well, you're obviously a gifted kid in third grade, so you get to go to science school, and you're a fucking idiot. You go to like hitting rocks on the ground school. I don't want to be a society that does that to people, because like I would have been a dude that got shoveled off to hitting rocks on the ground school because I graduated high school with a 1.6 GPA. like legitimately, I think that was my GPA, and now I have like whatever, like an engineering degree. So I don't want to do that, but at the same time, like if you grow up, if you have an interest in science, if you work in science or any of this, medicine or any of these things, engineering, like I think if you want to contribute to society, you need to try. And I think getting at the kids, getting them interested, right? Like if you can get a kid interested in the human body and medicine, get them interested in engineering, get them interested in like outer space, right? Or whatever. I think that that's kind of the key. I mean, all the dumb
Yeah.
people that like you brought up, Rick, that I think they are also kind of a lost cause at this point. Like the ones that don't know how many state senators we have and like what, 50 times 2 is like pretty quickly, they're probably gone. Like if you haven't read a book in 2 decades, you're probably gone. But
Yeah.
like part of me does almost believe like if you are a smart person with these skills, you need to use them.
Well, I think the onus sort of falls on the society to nurture that, though.
Yeah.
Like okay, look, space, dinosaurs, all of that shit, that is inherently interesting. It shouldn't be hard work to get people interested in exploring space or
But
learning
this is
about
a podcast of 3 clearly autistic men. like, I'm just saying, like, look, man. I'm just saying, we all grew up liking dinosaurs because all 3 of us have fucking, like, we're on the spectrum. If you weren't diagnosed, I am diagnosing you. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah,
but
the evidence is stacked against me at this point.
I'm making them at night, bro. Like it's.
You're saying not everyone is interested in dinosaurs?
I don't think so. Which blows
well,
my
they're
mind because yeah, fuck them, man.
Okay, remember this is a callback to an older episode, but specifically with dinosaurs, some people don't think they existed, and they're denying the existence of dinosaurs.
Because that's a whole nother can of worms.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that
can of dinosaurs.
That is in part because of a lack of education. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what I was getting at. Was I think in order to nurture to get the most bang for your buck, so to speak, for your tax dollar, we are teaching kids the wrong thing. We are teaching kids how to be obedient workers and not critical thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can regurgitate facts, but you can't figure something out. Like a problem is presented to you that you might not have encountered before, and you have no idea how to solve it. But you know, when fucking Christopher Columbus sailed to South America or whatever.
Yeah.
1492, baby. Throw his ass to the bottom of the ocean. Think his dizzy ass fucking discovered Atlantis. Fuck Christopher Columbus.
See? Zach knew that.
I read books.
But, you know, so I think that's an inherent problem that we're facing. Like, we're not teaching kids how to critically think. And when you try to, you have people like these religious people that all of a sudden say, oh, my kid's being indoctrinated because dinosaurs lived along humans 6,000 years ago. It's like, well, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. There's a pile of evidence saying that you're wrong. And you have one book saying, not even directly saying, you're making assumptions based on that one book that was written by a sheep herder fucking a couple thousand years ago. Like, it doesn't add up what you're trying to do, and you're just trying to shoehorn it in, and you're a detriment to society.
Yeah. I mean, you could run this along the same lines of, like, you know, when addicts need to get help, right? There needs to be a space for them to admit when they need help. And right now our society needs to admit we're dumb, and we need to allow smart people to correct any wrong doing, anything that is just inherently stupid or wrong. But yeah, there just needs to be a space for that to, like you said, Rick, get nurtured and be welcomed back into society. I mean, I remember growing up and watching shows like Reading Rainbow and fucking, I don't know, Neil Tigris Tiger on the screen talking about
Tony the Tiger? Dude, I love Frosted Flakes.
Dude, they're okay. But I think but I remember as a kid reading or watching other people read, I should say, because I'm not a big reader, but Reading Rainbow and like all these like PBS, which has now been defunded, like things that are out there just to like get things in kids' minds, because it's like, oh shit, dude, Toucan Sam is not just a Fruit Loop mascot, it's a real fucking bird. You know what I mean? Like just that kind of shit. It's
based on a real bird, but yeah.
I don't even think that like the back of cereal boxes are educational anymore. You look at a back of a cereal box and it's fucking instructions on how to work a Microsoft. You know what I mean? Like it's set up for you to fucking be looking at spreadsheets with a shotgun in your mouth.
How to subscribe to Microsoft Office.
Yeah. Which costs money now.
Dude, here's the thing though, that it gets to the root of the problem. It gets to the root of the problem, yes, those are the things. But if all of the people that are smart that can teach, that can get kids interested, right? If all those fucking weirdos that like ate shit out of like frozen nitrogen, all the people I saw, you know, at the Science Museum, you know, here in Minneapolis, like if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to go do that and get interested, right? So the root of the problem there is, yes, we need to like make education kind of cool and interesting again. But does that mean that the smart people who can do the educating kind of owe it to people to do the educating and to make it try to make it interesting for the kids we're bringing up, right?
Dude, we need to do a mega movement, make education great again.
Dude, that goes hard. Put that on a hat. We're trademarking it. Nobody take that shit.
Put it on a blue hat, though. We don't want to fucking piss anyone off.
We can make okay, so we're not doing blue anymore after that fucking shit. So blue's out. I think a red hat would be funny because it'd be like a major. So I heard a story. I don't know. This is a side tangent, but I'm going to tell this story anyway because we're on hats. a comedian told a story where like his dad, who's super MAGA, or his uncle or some shit, super MAGA, runs up to this kid wearing a MAGA hat, or it looks like a MAGA hat. And he goes, good for you, kiddo. Like, I like your hat. Good for you, right? And that guy goes, oh, thanks. And he looks up again, Unc looks up again, and it says, MAGA, make America gay again. And apparently Unc just fucking glitched out. Had no fucking idea what to do. Just flat. So we could do something like that, We can make it something like that. But MAGA thinks they're smart, though.
You heard the Windows error noise? Dun.
Yeah. And then he just fully fucking blue screen the shit out of himself. Yeah, no, that's the thing. But that's the thing that I think, look, if you're smart and you're qualified to be a teacher, and I know that, like, the other problem is, how do we qualify? What do you mean by smart? Like, what is So that's the other part of the problem, but we're not here to solve that. We're here to solve other problems right now. But I think that's the thing. If you're smart and you know all the science and shit, like, you should be trying to make that interesting for people and try to help nurture the next generation of smart people.
Yep.
I just wanted to say that it's really fun watching this conversation take place and the seriousness behind it. And it's coming from your name of Skidmark.
Dude, I mean, again, the whole conversation is prefaced by, this is 3 white, probably on the spectrum dudes that are not properly qualified to have such a philosophical discussion. Skidmark has some strong opinions on how we should be smart in this country.
After this, I'm going to go play with my train set.
Dude, Skidmark is definitely the name of, like, a morning show fucking guy from, like, Alabama somewhere. We should be talking about cousin kissing or something. Like, I don't know.
Wearing a propeller hat. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you mean? I went to a cousin kissing show the other night.
Oh, fuck.
So with all that being said on smart people needing to do stuff, Department of Education is no more.
Yeah, so you can't do it for them.
Everything's fucked.
No, dude, I think I'm going to land on the side of, if you're smart, you need to go do smart people shit. Even if you do a short stint, maybe it's not a lifelong thing. I think if you're smart, go do something smart. Go do research. Go teach. Go whatever. I mean, like, I am trying my best to be smart and it's not working, so someone please help. My thing is Skidmark, for fuck's sake. I don't know. Trying, guys. I'm trying to make society better, but I can only do so much because I can't be taken seriously by fucking Electronic Rick or
oh shit.
Oh, Electronic Rick thinks I have a dumb name. Whatever. Fuck you, buddy.
Oh God. Well, you know what? This was at least a good a seed to plant. If you guys are listening out there, and if you need some, I don't know, some ideas and whatnot, this was a good conversation to listen in on. And I think it also could stem to other podcasts where we talk about what things that we see differently, what things that we could be doing differently to kind of, push this in that direction. So, but final thoughts from you guys before we wrap up here.
I'm going to do my usual thing. Not my usual thing, but, like, rate, subscribe, leave comments everywhere and things like that to help us get out to other smart people that might actually be smart. But I also just want to say, man, if you become a regular listener, you are guaranteed to probably get smarter.
There we go.
Measurably.
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe.
Unless you're already smart.
Then you're not.
Then you'll just agree with stuff.
Correct.
Or maybe not. If you disagree, send us an email.
Yeah, that's
or feet pics.
Or feet pics.
Outro.
Each criticism email, 1 foot. Preferably not shaved toe knuckles.
All right. Jesus.
Anyway.
Cue the fucking music.
All right, yeah, that's it. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Yeah, see ya.